Well, I believe my personal approach to deal making has changed probably 360 degrees and continues to change as things evolve. When I was very young, I suffered from I'm going to be the winner, the other guy is going to be the loser. And it works once in a while, but on an ongoing basis, it doesn't. So in making a deal, you have to really determine what is it that you want, and you know that going in. Then you have to determine what is going to make the other side feel like they won. Sometimes it's not just money, but there's a lot of other aspects to making a deal. I remember, full disclosure now, it's old news, is we were in negotiations to merge with Staples, our arch enemy, and we got down to the very end of the deal. It was never price, but instead, it was who was going to be CEO and what's the name on the building going to be. The irony, and God rest his soul, Tom Stenberg, who was my arch enemy publicly, but I really liked the guy and we got along. We got down to the deal where Tom said, good, you're a better operator and you work harder. I want to be the face guy. And I said, no, Tom, I want to be the face guy. I want you to do the work. And that was a real stumbling block. The other was and this is ego on both sides, was the name. And the name was, is it going to be OfficeMax or is it going to be Staples? And we couldn't come to an agreement. The irony and the lesson there is Office Depot subsequently merged with OfficeMax, and today the stores are known by their respective names, and in their advertising, it's Office Depot, OfficeMax. So there's always a solution. Sometimes, as I said, you have to be a good listener, and you have to be able to be flexible, as evidenced by the Staples OfficeMax deal. That never happened, and the reason was never money. It was because of the two items I just mentioned. I think when you sit down at the table to negotiate something with a chip on your shoulder, or I'm better and bigger than you are, you will not cut a good deal. I always like to say the dumbest farmers grow the biggest potatoes, and that simply means you sit there, you listen, you can very quickly figure out what is important to the other side, and then you sincerely try to make an accommodation so they can feel they won and you win. You have an obligation, particularly if you're a public company, to do what's right for those constituents I mentioned, and including the shareholders, probably the most important. But you also have an obligation to the communities you serve, your employees, and many others. But I think flexibility is the key, and I think that when you sit down with the my way or the highway, you'll be on the highway pretty often and never make a deal. When you're sitting down at the table, never lose track of the objective, and that is to get what you want, not to necessarily get the biggest headline or the best publicity, but instead get what is best for what you're trying to achieve, and don't get so hung up on ego. And I think the best negotiating story, another one I have, I was in negotiations with Circuit City that owned CarMax, and we sued them and they sued us over the name. So a federal judge sent a message, that it was in Virginia, you boys, as he called us, will be in my chambers on X date, and we both flew down there. We walk in the judge's chambers and he said, this is never going to court. Neither of you will be completely happy with the solution, and I'm leaving now, and you're going to sit in the chambers and you both will come out of the room with an agreement, and then you're going to go home and get you off my docket. And you know what? Once you know the ground rules that judge, and he did add, I'll make your lives miserable until that happens. And I liked it because he had the cards and we knew what the rules were, and we made the deal. Too many people make deals for the sake of the game of it and being in the chase. And then they realize quickly that the catch wasn't worth the chase. And you can spend your life spinning your wheels and trying to make a deal. And unless you think about what is the end result? Every time I get into a deal, I sort of ponder this privately with myself. At the end of the day, if it really works, what do I have to show for it? And it can be many other things, including gratification, helping people, making money is not so bad either. But unless I can answer those questions, I wouldn't get involved.